Welcome to UMath. Today our special guest is groundskeeper Willie. He is the groundskeeper at Springfield Elementary. And he's one of my favorite characters on The Simpsons. He's a little bit on the ornery or surly side, but he's pretty funny. See ya later, Willie. So last day we talked about sine. We're in the midst of trigonometry, which are ratios of the sides of triangles, how they relate to one another. And today we're going to talk about cosine, and it's very similar in the way we did sine, in that there are two ways to determine what the cosine of a particular angle is. The first way is, just like with sine, using a formula. So here is the formula for cosine. The cosine of angle, well, whatever, it could be A or B, is equal to the adjacent leg length divided by the hypotenuse length. So we already defined what the two different types of legs were in the last lesson, about adjacent being right next to and opposite being across from. So because we know that, we can do this. So let's start with our formula. We're going to do it for angle A. So finding the cosine. So we'll put cos for short of angle. In this case, we're saying angle A is equal to the adjacent leg. We'll just write down adjacent. I know some of you are thinking, oh, I'm just going to put an A down there instead because I'm too late. Because I want to save time. Over hypotenuse length, we'll just put down hypotenuse for short. Please don't just write an H for short. So adjacent divided by hypotenuse. So here we go. Time to plug in some numbers. The cosine of angle A. Here's A. Adjacent. That's right next to. So what's right next to this angle? The 4. Hypotenuse, we know, is the long side. It's a 5. So it's 4 over 5. Remember what we did for sine? It's the same for cosine. We get the fraction into a decimal, which would be 0.8, because 4 over 5 is the same as 8 over 10, 8/10. And it must be carried all the way to the third decimal place, or the thousandths, and we're done. What about if I need to find the cosine of angle B? Well, we use the same formula. Change this here to a B. And we would put in, what's the adjacent side? It's the side right next to it, which in this case would be the 3. So we'd put 3. Say cosine angle B equals 3 over hypotenuse. Hypotenuse never changes. It's always the same. And that could be 6 over 10, or 0.6. And we put it to the thousandths by adding zeros. And that's our answer there. So just like with sine, if they give you the lengths of the sides of the triangle, you can use the formula to figure out cosine. The second way is the same as when we found the sine, and that is, if they give you the angle, then you can simply use the chart. And we remember that chart. Talked about this yesterday. We worked with the sine column yesterday. Today we're working with the cosine column. So if we said, what is the cosine of 53 degrees? And we find 53. And we go over not sine, we want the cosine column. It would be 0.602. And don't forget to put the zeros on at the beginning, even though the charts don't have them. And it's as simple as that. Just using the chart as long as you have the degree sign, and you're set. Questions to cross off in lesson 152 would be on page 361. You may cross off from numbers 17 to number 26. So it's the last 10 questions all crossed off. Oh, and you can also cross off that chart 11 to 14. So most of that page is gone.
That was easy.